What's going on, guys? It's Cal here from Buffalo SportsCenter. Today, let's take a look at Week 2 of the NFL preseason. We got the Bills at the Steelers. Both teams coming off big wins. This game will take place this Saturday at 6:30, so the first night game for the Bills of the preseason. Obviously, Week 1 was Kids Day, 1 o'clock in Orchard Park. But yeah, they will be traveling to Pittsburgh this week to play a night game. Let's start talking about the Bills first. The first thing we want to look at is the QB2 controversy. Kyle Allen started Week 1, had a rough outing, had a pick six. Other than that, he looked okay, but that pick six definitely did not do him wonders. Matt Barkley came in that second half and looked phenomenal. Obviously, Matt Barkley was playing against third stringers, where Kyle Allen was playing against starters. But Kyle Allen also had most of the Bills starters, and Matt Barkley was going out there with a lot of third stringers for the Bills. So we'll see if they flip the script this week. Maybe give Matt Barkley some looks with the starters, give Kyle Allen some looks with the third stringers, and see what happens. Because, I mean, if you put Matt Barkley against starters, chances are he ends up playing a little bit worse. Put Kyle Allen in against third stringers, chances are he looks a little bit better, right? So if that happens, maybe we'll start back at square one in Week 3. But if Matt Barkley looks better than Kyle Allen against starters, then I think the decision's already made. Throughout training camp, it looks like Matt Barkley is clearly the better QB. Kyle Allen struggled. I know a couple practices Kyle Allen was struggling to even, pick up snaps. So we'll see what happens there. But Kyle Allen, again, an established backup in the league. So it's not like, it's a one and done thing for him. We'll give him the next couple of weeks to prove himself, but we'll see what happens there. Let's transition into the Bills tight ends. Dawson Knox and Kincaid barely played in Week 1, and they didn't really do anything. You'd like to see Dalton Kincaid get a little bit more involved this week, give Bills fans a little bit of a taste of what's to come with him. There's a lot of hype around him. But Dalton Kincaid, the only highlight in Week 1 he had was a pancake block. It was a good block, don't get me wrong, but we'd like to see him catching a few more passes. I know we don't want to see anyone injured, but let's see a little bit in Week 2. Let's switch over to the cornerback battle now. Taron Johnson obviously didn't play in Week 1. Sean McDermott held him out because Cam Lewis, he went down early in camp, and, Sean McDermott doesn't want to see another slot guy go down. So Taron Johnson was held out. Maybe he'll play, maybe he won't. He's an established player. And then we had Dane Jackson. Dane Jackson had that big interception against the Colts. Again, kind of a gift. It was thrown right to him. With that being said, though, that's a big interception to put on the stat sheet. And he only played a couple of drives, so that's usually a telltale sign that he's won a job. We'll see what happens there. Elam and Benford, they played a lot of that game, so that's usually a telltale sign that they're still battling for that last spot. So we'll see what happens there. Kaiir Elam, he had a couple of huge interceptions last season. But other than that, he kind of looked rough. Obviously, they both dealt with some injuries, him and Benford. Benford, he had some good moments too, but also looked kind of rough in some games. So neither are established. We'll see what happens there. Reggie Gilliam returns this week, hopefully in the game, but he definitely returned to practice. That was confirmed. Reggie Gilliam obviously came into the league as an undrafted fullback, kind of transitioned into that tight end role. He's had a lot of success with the Bills in the last couple seasons. One of my favorite players on the team, so we'll see if he could have more success this season. Hopefully he does. Let's talk about middle linebackers because nobody stood out in Week 1. I know this is our weak spot of the team. Tremaine Edmonds ends up leaving us, going to the Chicago Bears, which I'm okay with. I was not a huge Tremaine Edmonds fan, but it does leave a big gap. Obviously, you have Dotson, who's probably going to win the job. He's established. He's familiar with the system. Sean McDermott likes guys that are kind of veterans that know the system. So I got Dotson as the number one right now. Bernard's still injured with that hamstring injury, so we'll see. Obviously, you got Spector, Dorian Williams, A.J. Klein, on the back end there. Maybe one of them makes some big plays and, catapults himself to the front of that list. But right now, I see Dotson as your starting linebacker. Again, he's nothing special, right? But he knows the system, and we'll see what happens in this game because if Bernard is able to play, which I highly doubt, maybe he'll make some big plays. Dorian Williams, he made some nice tackles in Week 1, but other than that, nothing really stood out. He's a rookie, so we'll see what happens with him too. And then obviously A.J. Klein, we kind of know what we're getting with him. He's on the downfall of his career. I don't know if he's going to have the speed that's needed in this league anymore, but he's definitely a good special teamer. And then keep an eye out on the return game. Evans and Isabella. Isabella looked worse in the return game than Evans, but Isabella had some nice catches. I think he was the leading receiver yardage-wise on the Bills in Week 1. So keep an eye on both of them. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, that's all I got for the Bills. Let's switch it up to the Steelers. First things first. Obviously, last week, the Pickett to Pickens connection is back at it. I see the Steelers as a really good team. I know a lot of people kind of buried them, or may not have them as a playoff team, but I definitely do. I like what the Steelers are doing, and yeah, Pickens is going to be an absolute dog this year at wide receiver again. He's made some incredible catches throughout his short career already, so we'll see what he does this season. But if they play again, let's keep an eye on them. Who knows if the starters play? Again, in preseason, you don't really know until the game happens. Game plans switch, in an instance. So, Sean McDermott can come out today and say, oh, Josh Allen's playing, and then all of a sudden the game happens and he doesn't, right? So we don't really know. But yeah, old friend Mitch Trubisky is the backup QB for the Steelers. So that's good to see, right? Obviously, Mitch Trubisky was the backup in Buffalo a couple years ago, and obviously was a fan favorite, the MVP. So we'll see what he does in this game. Mason Rudolph, their third stringer. Mason Rudolph, the highlight of his career, is getting slapped with a helmet by Myles Garrett in that game. But he's a solid option for a backup. So we'll see what happens with them. Obviously, the Steelers still have Pat Freiermuth. He's one of those guys where he has big games. He has games where he doesn't really do much, but definitely a good fantasy pickup. Freiermuth, a fan favorite in Pittsburgh too. Obviously, whenever he catches it or gets a touchdown, everyone goes Muth. So good to see Pat Freiermuth having success. Definitely one of my favorites around the league. Rookie tight end Darnell Washington, third round pick this year. Keep an eye on him too. I'm sure he'll get some reps. And then if we just look at the receiving core for Pittsburgh, this is why I think they're going to be good this year. I mean, they have Johnson, Pickens, Robinson, Austin. I mean, that's a big four at your wide receivers. Kenny Pickett gets another year under his belt. This team's going to be good, and I'm excited to watch them this season. Another guy to keep an eye on this game, Joey Porter Jr., rookie cornerback. Keep an eye on him, see what happens with him. Obviously, last week I gave you some players from the Colts to keep an eye on, so we'll see if Joey Porter Jr. does anything in this game. Last game, he did look a little rough, so he does need a little bit of a turnaround game for them, so we'll see what happens. And then the last thing with the Steelers to keep an eye on, Presley Harvin, the big boy punter, right? Presley Harvin came into the league a couple years ago, I believe, and yeah, he definitely doesn't have the build that most punters do. He's a stocky guy. He's fun to watch, though. Definitely a good character, so we'll definitely have to keep an eye on him when hopefully the Bills' defense makes the Steelers punt quite a few times. The last thing I want to talk about, obviously, Mike Tomlin and Sean McDermott have a connection, right? Went to college together and played together at William and Mary. Sean McDermott, big wrestler, too. I know they talk about this every single Bills-Steelers game. Just thought I'd make a note of it. Those two guys have much respect for each other, so we won't see any trolling in this preseason game. It's going to be pretty standard. My prediction, I think the Bills win this game 30-27. I think the Steelers starters played a little bit in Week 1. I think they play a little less in Week 2. And then I think the Bills kind of do the same game plan. I highly doubt Allen plays. I highly doubt Diggs plays. But I think most of the guys do get some reps. So, yeah, I got the Bills 30-27. We'll see what happens, though. Thank you guys for watching this video. Again, after this game, there's only one more week, so you'll only see me for one more preview before the regular season. But if you guys wouldn't mind, go check out the Instagram, subscribe on here, join our Discord, and with that being said, thank you guys for watching so much. Peace out.